Hi, I'm Anna Griffiths. I'm the Access and Interpretation Coordinator at the Shakespeare Birthplace Trust, and I'm here at the Shakespeare Centre in one of the bookstrong rooms looking at the source for our next Shakespeare's villain. And the villain that we're looking at this week is Iachimo, who in the play Cymbeline wishes to prove that he can seduce the character's Posthumus's wife. And in failing to do so, rather than lose his bet, he hides himself in a chest to gain access to her bedchamber, where he memorises the details of both her and her room, and even steals a bracelet to sort of prove that he has seduced her. And the source for this story lies within a collection of 14th century stories by an Italian called Boccaccio, and this is the Decameron. And I'm here with a very early translation into English of these 14th century stories. So here's the book, and we're looking at the second day, and this is in fact the ninth novel where we find the source for Cymbeline. Now this is an early translation into English. We don't believe that, there's no surviving translation before the date 1620 of these stories, so perhaps Shakespeare himself was reading this tale in Italian. But here in the English we can see the story. The story looks at Bernardo, who boasts of his fair and virtuous wife, and it's Ambraginolo who bets 5,000 gold florins that he can seduce her. And when he fails to do so, we have here where he makes a fair and artificial chest he caused to be purposefully made where himself might be aptly contained, and so conveyed into the house of Bernardo's wife. And then a little further down we see, being thus conveyed into the chamber, Ambraginolo softly opened the chest, according as cunningly he had contrived it, and stepping forth in his socks made of cloth, observed the situation of the chamber, the paintings, pictures, and beautiful hangings, with all things else that were remarkable, which perfectly he committed to his memory. So that's how he proved that he seduced Bernardo's wife. And in the same way as in Cymbeline, the actions of the villain nearly lead to the death of the lady, but both women are able to escape death, dress themselves as a boy, and ultimately prove their innocence and unravel the story at the end. However, unlike some of Shakespeare's other villains, Iachimo doesn't meet too sticky an end. Perhaps unlike Ambraginolo, who is not forgiven for his treachery, and at the end of this story he's covered in honey. He's tied to the top of the city on a really hot day where all the insects, bees and wasps and flies bite him to death and ultimately eat him until only his bones remain. So a much more gruesome end for our villain in Boccaccio's Decameron. So perhaps things could have been an awful lot worse for Iachimo too.